Have you ever wondered what Bounce, the retro game from the 1980s, would look like if it were remade with the most advanced graphics tech available to me? No. Well, too bad, because today I'm remaking Bounce with RTX on. Because I want to. Okay. The Bounce that gave we 1980s kids adrenaline rushes never had a gameplay record because we played on the Nokia 3310 and they didn't have screen records then, but in 2000 it was made into an Android game which had color and a gameplay record, so I'll be remaking that one since it will be easier to visualize in 3D. First, I need to gather the assets and references I'll be using, so I hopped onto YouTube to download the gameplay I'll be remaking and to Sketchfab to download all the free 3D models I'll be using. Now for my main character, the bow, it's very complicated. I need a high level of expertise and knowledge in 3D sculpting. After hours and hours of learning, I opened my 3D software, Cinema 4D to be precise, and created a sphere. That's it. But you know, if you want to add some more details and break your PC, you can keep increasing your subdivision. I'll leave mine at 36. Now I need to create my environment using the gameplay as a reference. So I went into the front view and created a plane and just kept moving the edges while watching the gameplay for hours until I landed with the base plane. I even created placeholder shapes for the main details that I'll be adding later. And I created a simple animation to showcase whatever I made after every step. Now selecting all the faces on the plane, I created a simple extrusion, added a subdivision and cut all the places to smoothen the edges, again whilst using the gameplay as a reference. Now I then duplicated the planes and disabled one, using Cinema 4D sculpting tools to make the shapes look like a landscape and not just planes. And after almost an hour of work, I then started testing my animation. I made a simple animation of my main character and added some dynamic stacks to the sphere and the planes. Then this happened.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening! Everybody stay calm!
I think I know why it keeps happening. I just need to change my collision shape to static mesh and add a soft body tag to my ball so it can bounce. And
have you ever had a dreams that you could do so you
stop it.
So I just realized I can't use a soft body tag because just look at how the preview is lagging. So I'll just work with rigid bodies instead.
Nice.
I then started roughly animating my sphere based on the game, and after almost 30 minutes of animating one part, I figured this out. I've noticed that the soft body is something like water in a or something. It's too fluid, it's too sticky. I'm gonna animate like a rigid body, then make sure that it follows the position in a way. And once I'm done, I'll go on YouTube and kind of search on how to reduce the elasticity of a soft body, or just figure it out myself, however it works. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I continued animating and animating and animating.
4 hours later.
And animating and animating and animating and animating and animating and
the next morning.
I continued animating and animating and animating and animating.
Many unbearable hours later.
If I added dynamics, there are some parts which do not need to follow the position that much, and there are some parts which need to follow the position that much. If I copy my dynamics tag and put it onto a completely different object, and then I would look at where needs more position, then I'll keep animating that tag on a completely different object. Then when I'm done doing the rough animation for my subject, I'll come and find a way to bring my dynamics tag onto the sphere and rather adjust the animation I made on the sphere instead of now touching my dynamics animation. I then added the rigid body tag and started animating the follow position option for the parts that needed to follow the animation more than the parts that just needed gravity. I reduced them to 0 or 1 probably. This wasn't the final animation though, I still worked on the animation later. Now to replace the placeholders, I started with a little monster. I created a capsule for the body, the glasses, and added a mustache. I did pretty much the same for the other assets, the lever control, the pumpkin, the laser machine, and the bouncy plant. I downloaded the pumpkin from Sketchfab, so I didn't really need to do any much work. I then added everything to my scene, scaled them, and put them at their respective positions, animated whatever needed to be animated, and that was it. Now I created a 3-sided polygon, extruded and subdivided it to create the coins or power up or whatever you call it. I gave each one a rotation animation at first, but I later scraped it off and just scaled it down whenever it was picked up. Now I copied and placed them wherever they had to be and animated each one of them to scale down or vanish whenever it was picked up. For the texturing, I hopped onto ambient CG and picked the textures that I'll be using to texture my scene. I then started the texturing process with the main character. I added a red plastic to the ball, a grass texture to the top parts of all my planes, and a ground texture to the down part, a glue to the power up, and others which needed their respective textures. But I'll add the actual grass later to the top parts. For the grass, I pre-made it with a plane inside a different project file, so all I just had to do was select the polygons that needed the grass inside my main scene and then created a hair, then just came and slapped the properties of the other one that I had perfected onto the grass inside my main scene, and that was it.
Yeah, boy.
Now I just added a simple sunset sun and a sky HDRI to light my scene. At this point, the whole scene was looking
Nice.
I then detailed the scene with weeds and flowers and bushes and some other minor details like the signboards that point to somewhere. I started proof playing and proof watching and proof reading and proof whatever doing into my scene. After a whole bunch of hours of proofreading and finding out that my scene was kind of perfect, I started rendering. On an average, each frame took like 4 minutes to render and there were 1,500 frames, which means it would take about 100 hours.
Several days later.
Right after the render was done, I composited the scene, added a color grade and some sound design to finalize the shot. Honestly, this project took a whole lot of effort and dedication to make, so I'd really appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribed, and share this to your friends too. And with that out of the way, I present to you Bounce with RTX On.